Hey guys, Savage Recover here, back for another video. How are my savages doing today? I got a great story for you. But before we get into it, do me a favor and go follow me on Instagram at savage_red_studios, where you can see all my photography. Also, you guys can email me at savageredrecovery@gmail.com. And you guys can also check me out at my Patreon. The link is in the description. Let's get into this video.
It's AK-47.
What you got it out tonight?
They don't let us march in the streets anymore, so got to practice some of our rights.
Cool, man. Do you feel like you'll need to use it?
Nah, I think if I use it against the cops, I'm dead. And I think all the people that hate us and, want to say shit to us are too big of pussies to stop and actually do anything about it. So,
Why'd you start carrying?
well, our roommate got arrested and they stopped letting us march anywhere, so started carrying.
Thanks.
So I just showed you the video of Garret Foster doing an interview and talking about his intentions and what he was doing with that gun during this demonstration. As you could tell, he had thought he had some bravado, and when they walked up on that car, he pointed his gun and the driver killed him. This is the article that was written, and this happens to be by the New York Times. Austin, Texas. It was not unusual for Garret Foster to be a protester against police brutality on Sunday night, and it was not out of character for him to be armed as he marched. Mr. Foster was carrying an AK-47 rifle as he joined the Black Lives Matter demonstration blocks from the state capitol in Austin. Gun rights supporters on both the left and the right often carry rifles at protests in Texas, a state where gun laws allow it. Mr. Foster, wearing a black bandana and a basketball cap, bumped into an independent journalist at the march on Saturday, and he spoke matter-of-factly about the weapon and what was dragged on a strap in front of him. They don't let us march in the street anymore, so I got to practice some of my rights, Mr. Foster told the journalist. If I use it against the cops, I'm dead, he concluded, is what is in this article. Later that night, Foster was fatally shot, but not by the police. The authorities said he was killed by a motorist who had a confrontation with protesters. The police and the witnesses say the man in the car turned aggressively towards the marchers, and Mr. Foster then approached. The driver opened fire, shooting Mr. Foster 3 times. He was rushed to the hospital and later pronounced dead. Austin Police Chief Brian Manley told reporters on Sunday that as the motorist turned, a crowd of protesters surrounded the vehicle and that some struck the car. The driver, whose name has not been released, then opened fire from inside the car as Mr. Foster approached. Another person in the crowd pulled out a handgun and shot at the vehicle as it sped away. Minutes after the shooting, the driver called 911 and said he had been involved in a shooting and had driven away from the scene. Chief Manley said the caller told dispatchers that he shot someone and approached the driver, who had approached the driver's window and pointed a rifle at him. His account is that Mr. Foster pointed the weapon directly at him and he fired his handgun, as Mr. Foster said of the driver. Both the driver and the other person who fired a weapon were detained in the interview by detectives. Both had state-issued handgun licenses and had been released as the investigation continues. Shooting stunned a capital city where demonstrations and marches are a proud and commonplace tradition. A GoFundMe to help Mr. Foster's relatives with his funeral expenses has already raised nearly $100,000 by Sunday evening. And while Mayor Steve Adler and other officials expressed their condolences on Sunday, at least one police leader criticized Mr. Foster. On Twitter, Kenneth Gasday, the president of the Austin Police Officers Union, retweeted a video clip of Mr. Foster explaining to Mr. Garza, the important independent journalist, why he brought his rifle. In the clip, Mr. Foster is heard using curse words to talk about all the people that hates us. but are too afraid to stop and actually do anything. In this tweet, Mr. Cassidy wrote that this is the guy that lost his life that last night. He was looking for confrontation, found it. Mr. Garza, who has filmed numerous Austin demonstrations in recent weeks, captured the chaotic moments of the shooting live on video. Protesters are seen marching through the intersection when a car blares its horn. Marchers appear to converge around the car as a man calls out, "Everyone back up." At that instant, 5 shots ring out, followed shortly by several more loud bangs that echo through the downtown streets. Mr. Foster, who had served in the military, was armed, but he was not seeking out trouble at the march. Relatives and witnesses told reporters at the time of the shooting, Mr. Foster was pushing his fiancee through the intersection in her wheelchair. That is a fucking lie. He was not pushing his girlfriend or fiance through the intersection. He ran up on that car with the gun pointed and the man shot him. What I honestly think is going to happen is I think that guy's not going to be charged unless the DA wants to be a liberal prick and try to prove a point. The mayor already wants to do gun control, and the man that fired into that car, he was not relative to the scene. He ran up and seen the car driving away and shot, so he'll probably get charged with improper use of a firearm or using a gun in a city limits or something like that. He probably will not get a crazy big charge, but he might be charged because in order to use deadly force, you have to be able to be saving yourself or someone else. And if the people are leaving, they're going away, then you're not in danger. So that could be used. I don't know. Texas does have lax gun laws, so maybe he might still be covered by the protections of the law in Texas because they're loose with their gun laws. I couldn't tell you. But Foster found what he was looking for. He said that they're too scared to do anything about it, and he ran up on that car, and that dude blew him away. If you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes. And the thing of it is this was stupid. There was absolutely no reason to run up on that car and point that gun. Not at all. Those are just my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments. Stay savage.